This season was bad. Sorry, I at least try to have the veneer of an essay style or intellectual presentation, probably because I lack a personality besides being able to string big words together and make a cartoon do silly slapstick. I don't like being so overtly negative because I find that predictable, and if people knew what my opinion was before going into these sort of videos, it wouldn't make them inclined to watch. Unless they share my sentiment or want to hear me roast a bunch of anime from the safety of my YouTube throne. But to drop that whole facade for a second, this was a massive pain in the ass because I had a ton to catch up on as I didn't give a shit about most of the shows this season and just didn't watch them for weeks on end. You know this season was fucked when the 3 shows I looked forward to were 2 isekais, one of which I genuinely hated, and a shonen anime I'm a whole arc ahead of in the manga. So hopefully you don't mind watching someone bitch about how little they cared. And if you're down for that, follow me along my miserable trek through the bland wasteland that was fall 2019. This first section's a major pain. Shows I could actually stand this season were few and far between. And some of these are only good because they're competently put together in a season where there wasn't much competition. Sure, I had some comedy I liked, an action show, and some slice of life for good measure. And with that, let's get through this quick. Obviously, I liked Boku no Hero Academia. I've been a fan of the series for a number of years, because I'm secretly shonen trash. Good animation, good characters, strong story that appeals to a wide audience. So there's not much to not like unless you're absolutely sick of the oversaturated superhero market. I don't think I liked what's presented thus far for what it is, and more for what it's going to be knowing where this arc is going, as it's continuing into next season still. But this was probably one of my favorite arcs thus far in the series, so it's recommended, especially for fans. Honzuki no Gekokujou Shisho ni naru tame ni wa Shudan no erande iraremasen, or Because Fuck You, Ascendance of a Bookworm, was a show that started off okay and just got better as it went on. The pace might seem slow to the average viewer, but I really liked the character growth, and that wouldn't be possible without the groundwork put in early on. The story's a bit of a budget Dr. Stone, but very wholesome and it has some well-deserved hits in the feels. Recommended and looking forward to that season 2 in spring 2020. No Gun's life was surprisingly interesting. When I signed up for it, I was lukewarm to the whole grizzled detective thing with a gun for a head, and it turned into a neat little cyberpunk series with a shadowy corporation, corrupt government, and human experimentation. It manages to balance out that horrible crap with lighthearted humor that keeps the show from being overly dark. It reminds me a lot of Full Metal Alchemist in quite a few ways. Check it out for some future dystopia stuff if you're into it. OreSuki no wa Omae dake kayo I didn't give enough credit to. Art direction's still off-putting, but I'll be damned if this show didn't have one of the best running gags I've seen in a long time in anime. The comedy got better, the characters much deeper, and overall it turned into a decent watch. Check this out if you like pervy comedies, English, and have a phobia of benches. Or just want to laugh. Chuubyou Gekihatsu Boy was fun. I haven't really seen many people talking about this show and I don't know why. This was a romp. For being something that could have easily been a cringe fest, it managed to keep its borderline one-dimensional characters likable and funny, without dipping into sexual humor or ecchi really at all. Just a story about a girl making a group of friends with some dudes who are hopeless nerds out to help people. Fun situations, slapstick, and some wholesome moments. Check it out. Wow, so I managed to say something positive about 5 shows this season, right? I must have been full of shit when I said this season sucked. Well, let's talk about the middle of the road crap before I go that far, huh? Assassin's Pride was an absolute dumpster fire with its creepy adult teacher on teenage girl romance, with the added bonus of Twilight-esque themes with vampires, threats, and enough fedora-tipping language to make the audience grow a neckbeard. It made for a weird package with an otherwise interesting world and a plot that suffered a lot from because anime sort of logic. If you can ignore that stuff, you'll probably like the action and cool shit, because people launching lasers with swords and fighting giant monsters is pretty damn cool. Getting back to Dr. Stone, I still liked it. It was still pretty good. Season 2 is already confirmed too, so if you like learning some basic science and making shit from scratch, check it out. The second half was way more focused on the actual creation of stuff with some good breaks for character growth and action to spice it up. As much as I like this show, it's got a niche appeal, I feel. Chojin Koukousei-tachi wa isekai demo you de ikinuku yo desu was my next trashy pick, because it's pretty much everything I hate about isekai rolled into one weirdly attractive package. It has this lack of tension for fights in this world that plague most isekais, but the show seems aware of that and focuses on other aspects like medicine, information, the economy, government, and religion with its various characters. If you like tits, smug dominance, and befuddled peasants, this is right up your alley. Otherwise, it's an easy pass. Mugen no Junin Immortal started off strong and sort of fell off for me. I don't know why. Maybe it was the meandering nature of the story, but it felt like it ground to a halt after only a few episodes. Still a bloody sexual mess with a gritty samurai story that has a solid art direction. If you like that stuff, you'll probably like this. But I honestly feel like I can get this same plot elsewhere, so it's getting a conditional recommend. Rightful is Beautiful was pretty much any slice of life show you can find. It's enjoyable enough, but people most likely forget about this show after it stops airing. Nothing about it stands out enough to make it memorable. So if you like the typical cute girls doing things sort of 4-coma premise with Lucky Star-esque jokes peppered in, then this is right up your alley. I'm only sticking it here because, while I like it, it's something I've seen 100 times. Beastars was okay for me. I managed to push past my initial disdain for the art direction and found it a pretty enjoyable story. Go check it out. Or leave a comment below saying my tastes are shit because I didn't absolutely love it. Either one works. Now we get to the tail end of this, where I throw in quick succession all the shows I thought sucked ass and really aren't worth your time. For various reasons. Fairy Gone, everyone's favorite punching bag from spring. I finally dropped this show after a few episodes this season because I couldn't bring myself to care. Which is sad because this was probably the more competently put together season. Too little, too late, to be honest. And nothing kills momentum like giving the audience time to reflect on if they actually cared about your plot. Bokutachi wa Benkyou ga Dekinai I also dropped after a few episodes. It wasn't bad, but I had already seen season 1 and I was asking myself, why am I bothering with season 2? It wasn't really keeping my attention, so it fell by the wayside. Ahiru no Sora still had crap animation and a pretty bland basketball story that's only surviving because it's a sports anime. People flock to those like crack. Incredibly predictable, but distilled hype for a dose of dopamine right into your brain. Houkago Saikoro Club wasn't bad, but much like Rightful is Beautiful, it didn't stand out enough. Unfortunately for this show, it lacked the comedy and interesting enough premise to keep me from caring. Azure Lane I dropped because I'm too old and can't really bring myself to care about 50 different sets of tits with different hairstyles suffering from a dozen different cases of Chuubyou. A weird World War II rehash, and pure waifu bait. Sorry, I'm not picking up your mobile game because this is a glorified commercial. Kabukichou Sherlock was just weird. I thought I'd find dark comedy, but instead I ended up with a lot of dumb gay jokes and a murder subplot that takes forever to get off the ground. And then no Shobutai's lack of an interesting plot finally caught up to me, when I realized I was about 5 episodes behind and couldn't bring myself to care. Tokunana, and I'm not bothering with the full title this time around, was so bland in its attempts to have an interesting concept and then drained any semblance of intrigue out of it by playing it as a straight detective show at the start. I couldn't bring myself to care and dropped it by episode 3. Coming off the heels of Copcraft, this show didn't hold a candle in terms of world building. And with that negativity out of the way, animation was pretty damn solid this season. With shows like Immortal, My Hero Academia, and yeah, this next one's rich coming from me, Beastars shining, the rest of this season was pretty damn solid. There was a ton of examples of decent animation, even in shows you wouldn't expect with a variety of styles. Rightful is Beautiful had that whole simplistic 4-coma style covered, Houkago Saikoro Club had the polished slice of life down, Immortal had that gritty bloodbath thing, and Beastars experimented non-stop. Everything else was that generic sort of okay that makes a show not distracting. So I can at least say, even if I didn't like most of this season, at least it looked good by comparison. So time to slap some numbers on these so I can put this season down once and for all. Ahiru no Sora was 4 out of 10 for being completely predictable with crap art. OreSuki was 7 out of 10 for managing some decent comedy and trope subversion. Houkago Saikoro Club was 5 out of 10 for being forgettable as hell. Honzuki no Gekokujou is an easy 8 out of 10 for being a pretty good isekai. Azur Lane was a 2 out of 10 because I hate when sex tries to sell me on video games. Chuubyou is a 6 out of 10 for somehow keeping my engagement. Dr. Stone's second half is a 7 out of 10 for its cool science shit. And then no Shobutai's second half is a 4 out of 10 for losing my interest, which is actually impressive when you look at the show. Chuubyou Gekihatsu Boy is 7 out of 10 for its good comedy and story. Bokuben Season 2 is a 4 out of 10 for making me ask, why bother? Tokumu-bu is a 3 out of 10 for being a waste of time. Fairy Gone Season 2 is a 4 out of 10 for being better than Season 1, but still being Fairy Gone. Assassin's Pride is a 6 out of 10 for its unintentional creepiness. Beastars is a 7 out of 10 for its good story. No Gun's Life is an 8 out of 10 for being so damn different this season. Mugen no Junin Immortal is a 6 out of 10 for dropping the ball. Boku no Hero Academia is an 8 out of 10 for being Boku no Hero Academia. Kabukichou Sherlock is a 5 out of 10 for being weird, interesting, but not super entertaining. Rifle is Beautiful is a 6 nobody cares what I think points out of 10 for being a solid 4-coma comedy. And with that, I'm pleased to wrap up my first full year making videos on YouTube. Too bad it was with all this horrible shit, but what else can I say? If you want to see me make better picks, you can check out my Patreon in the description, or you can help me pick shows each season to watch. Because winter's coming, and it's gonna be a long one. And speaking of Patreon, I would like to give a special thanks to Tammy Silverwolf and Volcarona for their continued support. Thanks for watching.